two aging actors or thespians were acting in a play down in Brighton in the UK, and they couldn't afford much because they were a bit sort of third rate. They weren't very famous, so they managed to get into some very, very cheap digs. And the woman that ran it was extremely large and was dressed, well, shall we say, it's the first time you could see a dog's dinner dressed as a dog's dinner. And the food was terrible. It was awful. And for what they were paying for, well, they got very little. Well, one night they were sitting there a bit depressed, and the woman sort of was busying herself. She disappeared for a while, and they noticed in a cupboard that had been locked for some time some sherry at the back. That was, the jar, it was bottle was very dusty and hadn't been used, and they were really down. They felt really depressed. So, whilst the woman wasn't there, they got the sherry and they decided to drink some. Well, the big problem was after they drunk it, they're a little bit tipsy, and what did they do to top it up? So they decided to, shall we say, go to the loo and top it up there. I think I've been quite polite in saying that, and then gently put it back, replaced it where it was, you see. Anyway, time went on and they got another acting gig, or whatever you call it, in London, and they went back to London, and then they got another acting job down in Brighton again. So they went down back to Brighton, and of course they couldn't afford much still, so they went to the same place. But this time the woman was all dolled up, and she was, and the meal was rather good that they got. And she said, I'm so happy, gent. She said, I've actually come up on the horse racing and I've won a lot of money. And she said, and I hope you like the meal. I said, yes, it was delicious. And she said, did you enjoy the trifle? And I said, well, it was different. She said, to celebrate, she said, I had some sherry in the back of my cupboard and I decided to use that in the trifle. And that joke was sent in by Ted. Thanks, Ted. Good evening and welcome
Hi,
to
folks.
another exciting show. And I've got my butt working, which is the software, of course, not my actual butt. So we're going out live on Radio Soapbox and Radio Windmiller, both .com, of course. So if you get bored with it sort of on YouTube, and you can actually go over to Soapbox and you hear it on there as well. So there we go. Oh, and Windmiller. So welcome to Bony Skull Steve.
Hello. Nice to see you.
I haven't heard from you for a long, long time. It must be at least,
12 hours?
Yeah, 12 hours. Whoa, yeah, that's it. Nathan might be joining us a bit later. I've sent a thing out to Paul English. I don't know whether he's coming on or not, but he might be sending a note from his parents. You never know. But there we go. And the first one in on chat tonight is 7:51. It's Paul Green, and it's hi. Hope all are well. Looking forward to the show. Oh, that's very kind. And I like putting this along the bottom because on Rumble you can't do that, can you? Just sort of. I don't know. And then we got here DJ Flipped. You got a lot for 2 and 6 in those days. Good evening, everyone. That's right. That was a weekly wage probably at some time. So we're going to send some healing thoughts out to people tonight, if that's okay with you, Steve, because if I find a bleeding thing, here we are. Because we got, as I said last night, Sussex man has had a stroke, so we wish him well. We wish Chris the gardener and his dear wife, we wish them well as well. And Nathan has got a bit of a headache tonight, so that's it. So, but he might come on a little bit later. So here we are. We're going to play the old. That's it. Hey, that's it. That make them better. So there we go. And before you ask, no, I haven't moved to New Zealand, especially for the show and then flying back again tomorrow. Up at the thing on at the back, we think it's not bad, is it? You know, it's a bit of all right. It looks a bit posh, doesn't it? Because you can change the seat.
Very nice.
That's why I'm going all pixelated occasionally, and not normally like my seat doesn't normally disappear. Anyway, Steve, we got some interesting things coming up. Before we start, do you mind if I show you these weird pictures? Now, near where I live, we've got it's called the New River, and the New River was dug from where? And you say where? No, where? Where in Hertfordshire? In the 17th century, I believe, down to London. A long, long way to provide London with water. And they've recently built on a field. And it's supposed to be, I believe, Google HQ. Now, just have a shufty at this. It's bloody horrible. Now, I took a picture when we had this rare sunshine a couple of days ago. What is it? 15th, that's it. And just look, I'm sorry the picture's not very big if you're looking on a laptop, but that grey, battleship grey building with no windows is extremely sinister. You can't, the security on that site is really high. And when I took the photograph, you can see the shadow of me taking the photograph. I hasten to add, you're not allowed to drive along there, so I went on my push bike. A security bloke came round and I thought, uh-oh, we can have some fun and games. And he sort of looked me up and down and just carried on walking, so he didn't say anything. So and then I had two other security guards looking from the other side of the fence at me, but I was perfectly okay taking a picture that side because I'm public land and I'm allowed to take a photograph. There's no problems there. But that river is the New River that was dug by hand all the way from where to London, which is a long, long way in the 17th century. But up to about 18 months ago, that was a field. It's so sad. And then this is the other picture. Hang on. Now, these look like battery storage areas. Again, I don't know what they are. That was a field as well up until about 18 months ago. And so anybody's got any ideas? I think it looks like a battery storage area. But why are they building these strange buildings? Weird. And there's lots of like electric transformers around there and electrical work. Very, very peculiar. But up to now this, shall we say not last September, December before, this is what it looked like down that path. And that was the field. You just saw that. I'll show it again if you missed it. Okay, ready? Here's the field in front of you. And this is what it looks like now. So, awful, absolutely disgusting. But anyway, anybody's got any ideas what it is? I mean, coming from architecture, I should know, but I've asked a few people I know that are also in architecture. They're drawing a blank. So it's supposed to be an HQ, but a building with no windows.
It's very austere looking. It doesn't look the most inviting place to want to be.
No.
And those three black buildings look like black cubes, which is very, very dark. But speaking of buildings, here's an interesting anecdote for you. And again, I might be a little bit wrong. I'm going off a lot of memory when I talk on your chats. I'm pretty sure it's number 33 Thomas Street in New York. And if anyone's able to have a little Google search, perhaps pop into that building next to you and ask them what's at 33 Thomas Street in New York. And I'm pretty sure it's one of these secretive buildings. It's got no windows. It's quite tall. So it's like a skyscraper. No windows in it at all. It looks like it's bomb-proof concrete. And apparently, and I mean, there's lots of internet talk about there's some secret spy agency using it for whatever sinister purposes. But regardless, I find the fact that it's at number 33 of high interest to me. This is a number that features heavily in the occult.
That is incredible, because I know the one you're talking about, because I used to work next to the post office town, in London, like a big lolly stick. And in fact, I worked in Fitzroy Street, which is the back of the offices, looks over that. And apparently that was built, especially during the Cold War, as a kind of listening post, apparently, because of these very strange things up there. And it was quite a building. Someone got killed when it was being built, because one of the old boys that worked there at the time, he remembers it. Some poor sob was putting some scaffolding up and fell off. But that again is, I think, our equivalent to that 33 building in New York. So maybe. But we got a lot. We got a lot in chat tonight, and we've got where are we? We've got Jojo Gizmo. Hello, Jojo Gizmo. Evening, lads and ladies. Hey, voice from the past. Hello, Robert. Good evening, one and all. By the way, Robert, thank you for those 2 contact numbers. I'm going to follow them up. I've been absolutely up to me neck in it recently, so I haven't forgotten, and I'll never forget a kindness. Thank you very much, Robert. You've done quite a bit of work on my behalf to get 2 other guests that should shortly be on the show. When I'm going to phone them soon. So sorry, mate. But you got to a lot of work, and I haven't forgotten it. It's just that it's on my chart of to-do list. So thank you. And we've got hang on, where is she? Aunt Sally. Evening, folks. Excellent stream you did last night, Chris, et al. I had to watch on catch up. Yeah, it's about some bloke. I can't remember who his name was. Did you remember who he was, Steve? I know, some geezer. I don't know.
No,
but
he wasn't handsome, a dashing fellow like us.
No. A couple of ugly sods on there, I think, weren't there?
Yeah.
Well, it was quite a show last night on Rumble. No, don't turn off. Don't turn off. Go to Rumble afterwards. But no, you can say things like tit and bum.
No!
There. Oh dear! Which you can't say on YouTube. I've just said it. Sod it. Paul, evening all. Hello, Paul. And we got Sue Seasider. Good evening, everyone. That's nice. We've got Hereditous Get Fucked. It's a Ministry of Truth. That's that building. Yeah, could be, couldn't it? Ministry of Truth. They're listening to you. Now we got here. With all our technology, we cannot build anything like the Tartaria? Tartaria. That's the one. Thanks, mate. You're spot on. I did a write-up in Telegram today about how things have gone wrong since 1914. How comes we could build beautiful buildings up to 1914, and what came out after 1918 was crap, basically. Strange, it really is. DJ Flip said in Watford there was Watford, gateway to the west. There was some lovely land owned by British Gas. It's now the Grove Golf Course. They held Bilderberg there. Oh yes, wow. I remember that. That was when people camped outside. I remember that. Yes. Now it says here 33 links to Freemasonry. Good
Massively.
point. That's it. That's right. Hatchie says the Men from Uncle, UNCLE. I used to like that show. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that referring to that building in New York? I wonder. I bet that's where he's aiming at.
Yeah.
That's who was in there. The Men from Uncle.
Because what got me, they used to go into this place where the bloke did tailoring and steaming jackets and whatever. and there's this huge staff there. Didn't anybody suss that there's all these people going into that shop and it didn't come out for a long time? Surely Thrush, who was the enemy, but I like Thrush. They had a sense of humour, those writers. Steve, Mark Hanley. Hello, Mark Hanley. Evening,
Hello.
Chris, Steve, and all in chat. That's good. Here we go. And we got here, according to the BBC website. Sorry, I've just sworn there. I've wiped my. Assuming I must.
Oh, nice cup.
Yes, I wonder who gave me that one. Beautiful cup, isn't it? Yes. Plug.
Shameless.
Yes. I must rearrange things in this room. Oh, hang on. What's happened? Hang on.
He's disappeared. The power of magic.
It doesn't seem to like the book, does it?
No.
Oh, here it is. I've hold it back. Here it goes. Yeah, if I hold it back, there is The Fake Awake. A good book it is. Good read. Yes, excellent. And BBC and Google HQ in Waltham Cross. Oh, you know where it is. Actually, it's sort of in I don't know, it's kind of in Cheshunt. It's a data center, and surprise, surprise, is built on a 33-acre site.
Nice find. Brilliant find there, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. I mean, you must live close. You might have seen me on my bike.
The devil is in the detail.
Now it says DJ Flipped. It's a club with no members permitted by all accounts. They held an American Express event there about 8 years ago. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Liquid DJ Liquid Smooth. Hey everyone. Hello.
Hey.
And we've got Reconciliation. Hello, Patrick. Way. And Patrick, you're actually a Fockham Hall because Steve here is the Fockham. You're the Defence Minister, aren't you?
Defence Minister.
Yes, that's right. And I think you've discovered you've deciphered something. It's a bit hush hush. So everybody, put your fingers in your ears and go because it's top secret. You see, so they mustn't say it. That apparently Kim Il Sung. They said that he's told his military to prepare for war, but it's not. It's the wrong translation, isn't it? In fact, he's constipated, and he's preparing his sewage workers for a terrible flush. So there we go. So that's the reason. And we've got Robert Gate. Hello, Robert. A good way to find out would be to access HM Land Registry site. Good point. Yes. And according to a quick search, 33 Thomas Street, New York City, used to be an AT&T building. Well, slap my thigh. What a surprise, eh?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I knew AT&T had something to do with it, but I think it was something else. I'm pretty sure people have rumored it had the CIA or some sort of intelligence monitoring equipment in it. Who knows?
Thanks, Robert. Where are all the likes? Bless you. Thank you very much. That's very kind. But it's really strange because I actually do believe that the Americans, they're very good at telling you something is in one place, but it's not. It's in another place. And the perfect example was where the cruise missiles, when they came over in the 1980s, they said that there were, Buckinghamshire or somewhere? Greenham Common, wasn't it? I think they were, but they weren't. They're up in Suffolk.
Yeah, rumor has it.
Rumor has it. So but
that was a well presented psyop for a number of years, wasn't it? The CND stuff.
Yeah, it was. And do you remember that spitting image thing with Ronald Reagan? And it's got cigar lighter, launch missiles. And it goes, launch missile. Oh shit. Similar button, But but you're saying about 33. It's a very strange number because 6s and 3s look at D-Day, 6th of June, again. And you mentioned 44 last night.
Yeah.
Now, my
44 got to
father,
mention.
for all his life after 1944, he could never work out why D-Day was in 1944. That, what you said, might have been the key that he looked for all his life, because he was into numerology like yourself, and everything worked out perfectly except for the 44. He couldn't
Yeah.
work out why the 44 was there. And what you said sums it up, doesn't it?
Well, is it worth repeating it for
Yes,
anybody who
please.
wasn't
Yes.
listening yesterday? I'll give a quick summary. 44 is a massive, because it's a double digit, a repeat of the same digit. It's a power number. So
Yeah.
11, 22, 33, 44, these are power numbers. It's repeated. That means it conveys more power of the original.
Yeah.
So, for example, 6 is the number of ignorance, and if you repeat that twice, it becomes, you could almost say it's double the ignorance. So, or if you triple it, 666, the number of the beast, we get ignorant emotions, ignorant intelligence, and ignorant actions. So, like threefold symmetry with the number conveyed there. 44 though, 44 refers to a book of spells called Liber 44, which is book 44 by Aleister Crowley, a well-known occultist, oblique stroke Satan worshipper who had his own religion and many other things. An accomplished writer, but Liber 44 was the ritual of the phoenix. The phoenix, of course, is associated with being burnt and rising from the ashes. So it's very kind of significant and prevalent if somebody wants to, let's say, destroy the old way and come up with a new way. Hence the fact that what was her name? Liz Truss came out of
There's trust, yes.
her and a bunch of financial mismanagers when she created a mini economic crash several years ago, came out of Downing Street at 33 minutes past the hour after 44 days in office to announce her resignation, whilst stood behind a triple helix lectern, which is all very significant. And this is how they perform rituals in plain sight, using numbers alongside. But of course, unless you're attuned to all of this symbology and the meaning behind it, it means very little. But every time you see numbers, especially double-digit numbers, repeated, take particular note, because it's possibly something behind all of that. That same number, by the way, on and I think I mentioned this again yesterday evening, the Twin Tower ritual, Twin Towers in America, New York. When I forget what date it was, I will look it up because I'm sure it was a prominent date. There was 44 lights illuminated from this site of each tower into the sky, like searchlights, a total of 88. And again, that number, another power number, 88, is associated with time travel, because that's remember the film Back to the Future? The speed the DeLorean goes to reach the future is 88 miles per hour. Just a little extra
Whoa.
Yeah, it's all significant. But the Twin Towers, each site, each tower, or each footprint of tower had 44 lights emanating skywards in the form of searchlights. And these were illuminated for a period of 33 days. Rituals performed in plain sight.
It is really an illusionist act, as the late great Dave Starbuck said, because he was a illusionist, comedy illusionist, and he said he was shocked when he started to wake up to what was going on, that the governments and that used the same tactics as he did in his illusionist act, by placing things in plain view in such a way that people didn't see them. He said, because when you're an illusionist, you do sneaky things. He said, and you often put things in plain view, and it's quite amazing. But back in chat, there's some quite interesting ones here. Now, it says, I think it's talking about a golf course, a beautiful course bowl accounts. That's that one, I think, in where is it? Watford. I wasn't even permitted to walk the course with the greenkeepers. That's interesting.
Wow.
Paul says 44 links to Obama.
Okay, I'd be interested to see more on that.
Yes, I would.
If he knows.
Ilya Kuryakin and Solo, the men from Uncle, and I'm distantly related to Ilya Kuryakin, David McCullen.
Wow. He was cool, I seem to remember.
Well, you know, the looks part rolling.
Yeah.
No, actually,
he was dashing like us.
And, well, you know that I've got a full head of hair like you have, and you just prefer to have wide central parting.
Oh, that's mine fell off. Oops.
Yes. Well, it's when you washed it with bleach, wasn't it? But no, we both like a wide central parting, don't we? It's an alternative Mohican.
Exactly.
Sideways, yeah. But
I've got more hair growing out of my nostrils these days.
Same here. A year-old. We have the Englishman. Oh yes, but no. Apparently, my auntie's sister married Mr. McCullen and had a son called David McCullen. So that's
wow.
Yeah, so it's not quite related, but you know, that's it.
It's close enough.
He didn't leave me any dosh in his will, though, or anything like that. Miserable sod, you know. So there we go. There we got here. Remember during the where 6 people could meet, but not 7. 3 + 3 = 6. And what was it you would say? Was it 6 is the number of what? Stupidity, or
it's the number of ignorance. It's the number of incompletion and ignorance. But we obviously see that in its triple capacity, the number of the beast. And speaking of that little ritual he's talking about, where 6 people could meet, they had to stand 6 feet apart, and it went on for 6 months. So do the sums there. Seriously, 6 people 6 foot apart for 6 months.
And what was it? I think it's the 22nd of March it started, wasn't it? I think you said.
Yeah. I mean, I do presentations just on the satanic ritual, because that's what it all was on that particular pantomime. Everything about it, virtually every date that was used. And some of them were very, very clever, I must admit. Some dates were from the Islamic calendar. Some of them were from the Judaic calendar. But they were using ritual calendar dates during many of their announcements. And just as a very core example of that, you've already alluded to one, which was the 22nd of March, which was the date of the first lockdown. Which is 2 to 3 days after the vernal equinox, and it's called the Satanic Season of Sacrifice. It's a 40-day period. It concludes on the 1st of May, May Day, Beltane. 40 days that's a massive biblical significance, incidentally. It's a massive astrological significance, that period. But the first lockdown, it originally was actually I must admit, I haven't found much in terms of evidence to back this up, but it was announced for 40 days. It was going to run for that 40-day period, but it obviously got extended to 666 days, because that seems to be a nice little round number for them.
It does. And what about the washing the hand ritual? I think that might. I was just thinking, I wonder if that ran into some.
Massively. That is how you conduct satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah.
Magic. Let's just say magic or dark magic rituals. That's ritual. It's ritual behavior, because it compounds an idea, and you might get suggestions during that behavioral patterning or registering where where you associate the behavior or the condition with the physical gesture. So hand washing is a means of ritualizing a motif into somebody's mind, i.e. brainwashing. This is how it's done.
Amazing. And we got here, was it MK Ultra experiment? 225. We're heading into the 225th next year.
Interesting.
I'm not too sure about that. 225. That's interesting. Now, this is a classic one. This is from Paul. Boris Johnson resigned on the 7th of the 7th. He was the 77th Prime Minister. Was he? Good heavens.
It was 17 years exactly after the London 7/7 ritual. Can I say psyop on YouTube, or will I get arrested?
No, I think we're going to get arrested for psyop, you know. So that's all right. So I think it's best if we don't say psyop itself.
Yeah, okay. I'll not say it.
Because we can't say tit or bum.
What about, can you say flags that might be false? Like a false flag?
Yes, it might be, shall we say, an extension of the truth. No, what is it?
Yeah, that'll fool them. I don't want to do a Richard Hall here and end up trying to explain my lunacy.
What was it? I mean, it's like in my bullshit book. I said bullshit is artificial truth with an expiry date. So what they told us was artificial truth, and the expiry date comes along. You see, so there we are. So the better the bullshit, the longer the expiry date. So there we go. Now,
can I just mention, because he's put 77 there, Paul's put 77. That's massively important. It gets. I actually write about that in that wonderful book that you were accidentally plugging on purpose earlier. I think it's called Fake Awake.
Yes.
In all good bookstores, price £20. Buy it now. Anyway, I mentioned the number 77. 77 was the number of the aeroplane that allegedly flew into a little Pentagon-shaped building in Washington, D.C., accidentally on purpose.
Really? Slap my flight with those naughty people on board. It's
terrible.
Yeah,
19 apparently. 19 really? Is massively significant. You know, like, can you mention the viral complaint that has the number 19?
19. No.
19, 1 and 9. Equate that to letters. It's A and I. Artificial intelligence. Because
that's right.
This is how you become transhuman, with artificial intelligence, by getting a little stuck in your you-know-where, which contains little things that might fit a certain agenda. Anyway, the reason I'm mentioning that is because 1 and 9 is also the number of beginnings and endings. So it's a nice one to be used in ritual purposes, such as little viruses or, hijackers, or presidential inaugurations, such as January the 19th.
And according to Paul Hardcastle, the average age of a serviceman in Vietnam was 19.
Yeah, because I wasn't really sure what was going on. And that's how the world is brainwashed.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Pentagon is 77 foot tall. And overhead on New York on that particular day was an aeroplane belonging to the US Air Force. That was known as Venus 77.
Bloody hell. That's absolutely amazing. Isn't it? I mean, it goes all from memory. This is brilliant. You know, I mean, you're sort of, you've certainly studied hard for this. I mean, I decode the news using gematria and numerology.
Yeah, awesome.
And Paul's gone on again to say 88 links to Trump or Trumpy trousers.
That's it. I mean, again, this is all interesting stuff, and it's if he's decoding using gematria, etc., that's excellent. I mean, loads of truthers need to be doing that. There's loads of stuff online where you can follow that kind of understanding. But once you see it, essentially, you see the patterns in nature. and you see that this stuff isn't just complete coincidental bunk. There's some sort of logic and meaning to it. And it is said, and I'm not putting myself in this place, but it is said that intelligence is measured by the ability to see patterns. So numbers are patterns.
That's quite interesting. I mean, the other one was it Andy Bittler says 44 Death's Door.
I'm guessing that's a bingo call. If it is, that's really interesting.
And Paul Roberts says, Paul, not a surprise. You're right there, mate. And it says here, 69. Now, this is a good one, Paul. It says 69 links to false flag. Alex Salmon and Steve Wright both died at 69. And the other one is famous people that die at the age of 27. What was it?
27 books in the New Testament, and 27 equates to 3 weeks and 3 days, I think. No, it's not. 3 weeks and 6 days, and 3 sixes. 3 sixes are 666. Or if you want to go by the Pythagorean base value, 36 equates to 666.
That's amazing. Now we got here, Andy Bittler says 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, carbon atom.
Yeah, that's what we're made from.
Now we're going back to the Paul said here, I think he's going back to that golf course in Watford, or what was a golf course has 18 holes. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. Top score in darts is 180. 60 plus 60 plus 60 equals 180.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's a really another interesting combination.
And David Hachi said David McCullum wore a wig, or so do I. Oh shit! Oh bugger! That's a see-through wig. I've actually got a hair down at my shoulders. You know, hi man, I've got a see-through wig, like, you know. And
can ask Hachi where he got it from.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been right since my wig came back from the dry cleaners. So there we go. We got here, Paul. Pretty much every news article I decode links to Obama. Obama was the 44th president.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Because let's face it, I keep seeing Obama. I don't know what it is about him. He's and Michael. Oh, sorry, Michelle. Sue Seasider, and people still continue to believe it was real around yes.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of convincing some people 5 years in, and they're still away in cuckoo land.
Paul says from 911 to 20th of March 2020 is 222 months. 222 is a huge number. Order out of chaos equals 222.
Awesome.
Now, it says here, there is a good book that can help me. Is there a good book? It's Sue Seasider. This is the question I need to ask because I want to extend this question, if that's okay. Steve, is there a good book that can help me understand numerology, please? Because my dad studied numerology and he had the book stolen and he could never, ever find the book again. So there we are.
I was just looking for one on my shelf because I'm next to my shelf. Wait a second.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I can't find it, but it's a really common one. All right. I'm not saying this is the best one to understand numerology, but it's one that's completely and utterly cram-packed with numerology, and it's commonly known as the Holy Bible. For instance, did you know there was 77 sheep, or rather lambs, led to the slaughter? All right. Again, I'm not going to quote you the biblical passage because I frankly can't remember, but it is in one of my presentations. Essentially, this is what the number 77 also alludes to. Mentioned the number 40 earlier. Number 40 is massively mentioned in the Bible because, again, I don't know whether the kind of understanding of your viewership, but it's a book on astrotheology, the movement of the heavens. 40 is significant because the season of what Satanists use as the season of sacrifice, the vernal equinox to the 1st of May, is the 40-day period when that change in the weather, this change in the seasons takes effect, physical effect upon the world. So the vernal equinox in March is the start of spring, but it takes 40 days from the equinox in order for the sun to have its full effect, in order to be safe to plant crops. This is the logic behind things like that. And you see 40 massively in nature. The human birth is 40 weeks of gestation, pregnancy. And there's many other examples, 40 days, 40 weeks, 40 hours. It's, again, because this is how the universe works, it's a science which can be kind of determined through numerological values. In terms of a book, though, to be quite honest, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Because, I mean, I've got a very old one from the 1930s. That you see, what happened is my dad he found it because the way he did numerology was in sets of numbers 369, and those different sort of groups of numbers, and there was a bloke who he did numerology for, and he said, "Well, tomorrow is going to be quite an incredible day because all the numbers work out." And there was a bombing raid, and this bloke got killed, and he stopped it. And he said, "I'm not predicting a person's death. I'm sorry." And then after a while, people convinced him to take it up again. And then he predicted about 18 months before, I think when he was in Sicily, the second front, which was D-Day. And it was spot on, 6th of 6th, 1944, going in at 6:30 as well. That's another one. But Steve, but I'll try and find that book, but it's as I say, he never found the book that he got all that information from. It was stolen in Egypt. So so there he is, and it says here, Stig, morning all. Stig's in New Zealand, so
cool.
morning Stig. And,
love the car.
Yes, and we got here. Paul says British royal family equals 222 in Gematria. The Queen's coffin left Buckingham Palace at 2:22 p.m.
Great, well spotted, Paul.
Oh, Paul, you've hit a bloody target on this one. Oh, yes.
Oh, he's got loads.
Charles was diagnosed with because I can't say it on YouTube, 22 weeks and 2 days after his birthday. The anniversary of Diana's death to Prince Philip's death is 222 days, and Philip died at 99 on the 99th day of the year.
Wow. This is great stuff.
Because I actually think the Queen croaked it beforehand and she was put on ice.
Oh, yeah, I think the whole world thinks that.
Because there seemed to be an actress, because she never gave interviews, and she gave an interview, which I thought was a bit strange. Now, Hachi said, anything to do with a trowel will help the farmers tomorrow with uphill gardening in Westminster tomorrow. Anything to do with a trowel? Okay, I don't quite understand. Will help the farmers tomorrow with uphill gardening in Westminster. Well, it'd be nice if we knew the route that they're coming into London so you could cheer them on. I don't know quite. Probably A1. I don't know. I'm only guessing. I don't know. But
I hope one of them's got, you like to say shit spreader. I hope one of them's got one of them.
Oh, I do. It'd be lovely. Oh, yes. I want, by the way, when I become Führer, I think you can raise this. There was a man, I think he was in Suffolk, who parked outside his local council and let his muck spreader go and spread shit all over his country. That man needs a monument. He really does.
Yeah.
He is my hero. We need more people like that.
Exactly.
But actually, what gets me about this farmers' protest is surely, and I know I'm sounding a bit like Richard Bobes now, it should be done sort of like, when I say spontaneously, you can't organise a protest spontaneously, but sort of take the bastards by surprise, take those in power by surprise. And to tell everybody where you're going, where you're staying, and surely you should just go when you want, sod it.
Quite right.
Now, Queen equals 19, this is Paul again, and 26. Elizabeth was born in 1926. And
oh wow,
the Queen Mother's gynecologist in his diary said Queen Elizabeth and the other one, what was her name now? Oh, bloody hell. The
Victoria?
No, it was Queen, it was Elizabeth and her sister. Oh, bloody hell. Margaret, yeah. They were born by some means or other. Work out what that means. By some means or other. And that's actually in his diary. By some means.
Dear Lord.
You can work out whatever you want from that. I don't know. Some people say it was Churchill, but he was so drunk in those days that I think he couldn't hardly raise a smile. So I doubt whether the Queen's father was Churchill somehow, but you never know. It says here, I might be wrong. This is Jojo Gizmo here, but I think there were originally 666 books in the Bible.
I don't know what there was originally, but I think currently there's 66 books in the Bible. It's 22 books, 22 chapters in Revelation, and that's another massive number. It's the master builder number, the number associated with Nimrod, the original master builder who built the Tower of Babel. Nimrod also built canals. He's renowned for canal building. And interestingly enough, there was a boat crashed into the Suez Canal just after the 22nd of March. It was the 23rd of March, a couple of years back. Remember that?
Didn't it? Yes, it was called the Evergreen, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Evergreen. The evergreen tree is the symbolic symbol of Nimrod. Nimrod and the evergreen tree, that's what he's associated with. And again, there's biblical references, or rather biblical allegory as to why that's significant. But rather than spoil your show with all this mythology, the evergreen on the 23rd of March crashed into the canal, the Suez Canal. Let's reverse that word. Suez becomes Zeus. Zeus and Nimrod were the same dude, just different pantheons, Greek and what have you. But the Evergreen was on its 22nd trip. It was released after 22 days and was what was the word? It was accompanied by a flotilla of 22 boats on its passage back. I think it was going back to the UK. That's a lot of 22s we'll see there. In fact, it's 3 22s, 322. And you see this number occurring in many other similar kind of crazy flags that are false, or psyops, or rituals that are occurring in the world. And and the reason I'm mentioning this, because 322 is massively important, as in Skull of Bones, Lodge 322. Obviously, it relates to a day, or rather a date in the calendar, March the 22nd, the satanic season of sacrifice. But the reason I mention it today is because if we were to count the number of days in the year leading to November the 18th, the date that Adam Weishaupt, the founding father of the Illuminati, died, we get 322. So today is 322nd day. And on that note, I'd like to say a big happy birthday to Mickey Mouse. It's his birthday today. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, now you do. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's Mickey Mouse's birthday. And that's curious in itself, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people on your chat will know that the Disney founder Walt Disney is massively associated with the occult.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was Mortimer Mouse, first of all, and they changed that to Mickey, didn't they?
Yeah, but curiously, M and M is of high significance in occult studies. And we see this combination in loads of things. But Walt Disney, some of your viewers probably knew that he had a club, an exclusive club for members only. It was known as Club 33. And we've already talked about that number. But if you turn the number 33 on its side, we get M and M. M and M, Master Mason, Marilyn Monroe, Marilyn Manson, M and M the Sweets, M and M, aka Slim Shady, Meghan Markle. The list goes on and on, but double M in occult terms, in esoteric alchemy, it qualifies as a fourfold gateway. So that's what it is. It's an archway.
Good God, that's fascinating. That really is fascinating. I mean, Paul said, oh, by the way, you know, he was talking about 40 earlier. When you asked, there was a saying, I'm going for 40 winks. I'm going to have a sleep.
Yeah.
Why is it 40?
I mean, look at the biblical references to 40. You know, lost in the wilderness for 40 years, rain for 40 days and 40 nights. You know, there's loads of
them. Queen equals. Oh yeah, we just said that one. I think you just dramatic. Yeah, that's it. Now we've got here. I didn't know Steve. Right, this is DJ Flipped. Had passed on. Ask Elvis was funny. Did Steve take the you know what? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me though. I don't think I can read this one out because I think Joanna Lumley has very good lawyers, so I think I'll just let people read that. And I don't want to end up in court.
It was a very good program.
Yes, it was a good program. Yes, allegedly, I think we could say. Yes. Sorry, mate, I can't read it out. And Paul says he's happy to teach Seasider. Try saying that with a mouthful of nuts. I'm happy to teach you numerology. That's nice, isn't it? So
nice offer. Yeah.
There we go. It says here, Liam Payne, this is Paul, said, died at 31 from a fall. Fall equals 31 in gematria.
Oh, great. Hey, I tell you what, I think he's onto some good stuff here.
Right. It says here, and we got here, Paul says, the recent film Twister was released on the 17th of July, a date that can be written as 177. Weather control equals 177 in gematria.
Wow. And he should put this in a book.
He should. And Hereditors Get Fucked says, Paul is on the magic bus.
Yeah, definitely.
Dan MC says Payne was probably murdered. That's interesting. Now you got here. He's well awake tonight. In the old Paul, it says here, date numerology is important in their world. Do you remember the massive computer crash this year that took place on day 201 of the year?
Yeah, well spotted.
And what about
Did you know that you might be aware of Event 201, and I'm pretty sure Paul is as well. And he's got this spot on as well. The moon landed on the 201st day of the year. Again, in numerology, you can take away the 0, and that equates to 21. because in tarot reading, tarot cards, there's 22 cards in the major arcana tarot deck, 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, 22 bones in the human skull that are protecting the golden box, the Ark of Covenant.
That's it.
And there's in tarot, you reach completion at the end of the cycle after 21. It goes back to, well, in tarot actually goes back to either 0 or 22, depending on how you read it. But this is also a significant date in the Satanic calendar. It's I think it's called the Grand Climax. It's July the 20th, i.e. day 201. This is when the moon landings were. There's various other things in history. Again, I cover this day actually on some of my presentation, but things like the Batman theater shootings in I think it was Colorado, Aurora. It was Aurora in Colorado. That was on July the 20th. Again, this is the Satanic Grand Climax. This is one of those dates to look out for when rituals are being performed in plain sight on the TV in color.
That's you know, and also, I mean, with your, is there any one of your brain? Sorry, I'm having a senior moment. When will you be going on a tour of your talks? Is there a talk coming up soon? That's what I was going to ask. Or survival? Just plug it, you know, because as far as we plug all kinds of things on this show, don't we?
Oh yes.
I'll drink to that.
Scratch my head there. I'm not sure what's hot in here.
Bloody plugging the book in there, Christ.
My fan's upside down. Anyway,
and also, did you see old Trump and JFK on a plane with product placement, McDonald's, Coca-Cola or whatever? There, it wasn't placed there deliberately in front of the camera, perfectly so you could see it, was it? It was all
pure accident.
Yes, amazing that. I actually think they should be like racing drivers, these politicians, and people saying Trump's not a politician. Well, he is now. They should have who's supporting them on their t-shirts. You know, they should have, you know, Coca-Cola, Pepsi Cola, and a little hat. You know, it's.
Well, do you know, since you're asking, Eric, I'm doing a talk up in the north of Scotland, between Inverness and Aberdeen, a place called Elgin. Hopefully in early December. But I'm hoping to do something in the northeast prior to that. And as you mentioned as well, I don't just talk about the occult. I do presentations on occult themes, similar to the ones that you'll see in that book, Fake Awake. That's another shameless plug. But I also do survival things, as you well know. So I'm hoping to do some survival stuff, probably in the northeast again. Again, maybe one this month, and hopefully something before Christmas.
Bit cold though. I mean, you know, you remember to put your winter drawers on if you go there.
Oh yeah, it'll be winter survival, I guess.
Well, it wouldn't be summer one, would it?
Well, it might be in New Zealand where you are.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, New Zealand. Do you know we've mentioned
fake New Zealand, actually?
Yeah, fake New Zealand.
Fake, yes. If you believe I'm there, well, you believe anything, you know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fakery, New Zealand Christchurch. So I have a think about that word, Christchurch, and Mosque Massacre, Mosque Massacre, Christchurch.
Well.
51 victims, 5 and 1. May the 1st, 1 and 5, 5 and 1, 51, area 51. Okay, yeah. 51, May the 1st, a massively important date. As I said, it's 40 days after the vernal equinox. But May the 1st is a massively important date on the pagan calendar, on any occult calendar. It's often known as Beltane. And there's been lots of rituals performed on that day, spectacular ones, used in that period. And here's one for you. I'd imagine many of your listeners will know who 22 SAS are, the 2-2 Regiment Special Air Service, who performed a ritual for the wealthy elite on a Beltane ritual. I think it was 1982. Prince's Gate in the Iranian embassy. Yes. 6 people died in that ritual, that blood ritual, where people died to entertain the public on Beltane, a Beltane sacrifice. It was called, remember we talked about Nimrod? It was called Operation Nimrod.
And they reckon that the shot was not fired from the Libyan embassy. It was shot from somewhere else because...
it's probably all a load of bogus.
But, I mean, there's a policeman that used to live opposite me. He's moved away now. And he knew the policewoman that actually was shot. I'm not sure he was there on that day, but he knew. And he said, oh, no, it's definitely Iranian. Well, yeah, they would say that, yes. But unless he was actually there and an eyewitness, but lots of eyewitnesses said, no, the shot was not from the Iranian embassy. And it just, who knows? Because, again, it's what we're told and what really happens are two different things. Really.
Yeah. Well, do you know, Yvonne Fletcher, she was shot. I don't think it was the 19th of April. It might have been the 17th of April, if memory serves me well. But regardless, that was another blood sacrifice period. It's known as the Feast of Moloch, the 19th of April. So here's 2 dates to look in. Have a look through, I don't know, Google or Wikipedia or events in history. Have a look at the 19th of April, the Feast of Moloch. Have a look also at the 22nd of March. This is when loads of these sacrificial things happen. So 19th of April, Waco, the Oklahoma bomb, the Boston bomb. One of the best ones or one of the most significant ones for me has been in recent years. I think it was last year, actually. There was the Danish stock market burned to the ground, or certainly involved in a big devastating fire. But then, and again, this might have passed. A lot of people might not have even seen this. Some poor individual actually set fire to himself outside of a hotel where Mr. Trump was doing some sort of conference.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
Right. That was I'm pretty sure on this, it was the 19th of April. Like I say, I'm sure it was last year. But the reason I'm mentioning this, the reason it's significant is because the Feast of Moloch requires sacrifice by fire. It's a fire destruction ritual, destruction by fire. And what did we get outside Trump's, whatever Trumpy Pants was doing? It was a bloke sacrificed himself by fire. And on the very same day, and again, you've got to dig deep to see the complexities of this. Moloch was associated with 2 creatures, commonly an owl, as in the owl of the Illuminati. The shape of the building in Capitol Hill, Congress, is an owl-shaped building. That's right. But more prevalently, it's associated with the bull. And what did we have in London? Somewhere in London, I forget where, because I've not got notes with me. This is just memory. There was a pub in London burned down that very day. It was called the Burn Bullock, i.e. Moloch. Burn down the bull, the Burn Bullock, burned to the ground.
Isn't it strange, these sort of strange terrorist outbreaks, it all happened, and they've stopped all of a sudden. You don't hear about them now.
Yeah,
Isn't that
because
weird?
they've got other rituals to entertain the masses.
Yeah.
Can I give you a couple of quick ones while it's on the top of my mind?
Yeah.
Because I'll tend to forget.
Yeah.
Halloween 1971 or 72.
Mm-hmm.
A tower in London got blown up by a group of people who I refer to as the Eye of Ra. Okay, the Eye of Ra.
Yeah.
Okay, have a think about what three-letter terror group that could refer to. I call them the Eye of Ra. Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Eye of Ra. Okay, very significant one-eye symbology in your face. It's been in your face for like 40 years. The Eye of Ra. Anyway, Halloween 1971. And actually, I might be completely wrong with the year there. Whatever year it was the British Telecom Tower, and it was floor number 33 on Halloween. Rituals in plain sight. Nobody got hurt, but it destroyed that particular.
It blew the side out, didn't it? It blew the side out. And,
but the same group on the 22nd of March, again, I forget the year, it might have been in the early 80s, mid 80s or something. Warrington. You might have heard of that, the Warrington bomb.
Yes,
now that killed some young children. Absolutely disgraceful. But the headlines on the newspapers, and I can't remember which, it was like one of the short ones like The Sun or something like that. The headline on the 22nd of March, the satanic season of sacrifice, read in big bold writing, sacrifice. That was the headlines in one of the newspapers that day, because that's when the bomb blew up some innocent people.
I remember that, yes. And because there was a person, not on the floor where I worked, but she was American, called Ira. And where she was staying, she kept getting visits from the police and Secret Service people because yeah, that's quite so. But that's fascinating. It really is.
There's been lots more links on dates such as that. Halloween. I mean, if you just go on Wikipedia and have a look for some of the incidents involving that group, and have a look at some of the dates that they used. I think the first car bomb was whatever, early 70s, I believe. But again,
Birmingham
I'm pretty
6.
sure that was the. Say again.
Was it the Birmingham 6? Can't remember.
No, prior to that, I believe, but the first ever successful car bomb attack was, again, I believe, the vernal equinox. And this isn't unusual. I mean, the list is just so ridiculously long. I just can't keep up with it. It's terror groups, governments that all use the same sort of pagan occult dates, calendar dates for starting or ending or doing something dramatic during these periods of time.
It's a Colosseum, isn't it? It's entertaining. It's where the Colosseum, where they used to put the old Christians in front of the lions, sort of a similar thing. Now we've got here the number 201 links to Jorg Mario Bergoglio. Pope F.
Pope Francis.
Again, Pope Francis, yes. Again, all news articles linked to Pope Francis.
All right, that's interesting again.
Now, Paul says, how deep can a post be? I don't know. How long's a piece of string? I mean, let's put it this way. We're on YouTube. We've got to be careful not to say tip and bum and things like that. So we've got to be a bit careful. But yeah, you can post as deep as you bleeding want. I don't care, as long as I don't get booted off, I'll be all right. Rabbit Stew 99 said Evergreen is CIA transport company, if I remember.
Yeah, I've heard that it's involved in child trafficking. Yeah, and Dan's got that as well. Yeah.
Dan says Hillary Clinton's code name was Evergreen.
Yeah.
Trafficking front. And Robert Dawes said, can anyone recommend a good book on gematria? So over to you again, Steve. Can you sort of recommend?
Yeah, again, to be fair, I don't even think I've got a book on gematria, but the internet's got some great resources on it. Sorry, but I mean, it is an important subject to have a good inclination or understanding on, because this is the occult arena is involved around numbers, numerology. If you can understand how it works and some of the important numbers to look at, I would endeavor to do that. I just kind of, there's loads of stuff on the internet, to be fair.
Oh, brilliant. And we've got here Rabbit Stew said again. Now, this is interesting because he's a fellow Geordie, Richard D. Hall. I've met him several times. Very nice man. 22 is big in Richard D. Hall case. If it wasn't, if it hasn't been mentioned yet, I've only just joined.
But if it's okay, I'll quickly mention it. Do you know we mentioned the number 322 earlier? We mentioned 322. Well, how about this? Manchester on the 22nd of, I think it was May, a few years back, a 22-year-old gentleman with a rucksack carrying a particular object somehow managed to kill, allegedly, 22 people. So a 22-year-old on the 22nd day killed 22 people. And again, 22, 22, 22. That's 3 2s. Funny that, isn't it? I actually believe it was the thing went bang at 10 o'clock as well, i.e. 2200 hours. So there's another one.
Well, by the way, there's some strange man just come along. I don't know who he is. Hello, strange man.
Oh my God.
Hello, guys.
Hello. How's your headache? Is it all right? Oh, by the way, and there's no subtle placement behind you, is there?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Nathan Von 33.
So I've got to be honest. I've been listening to the pair of you, and you two have had me in stitches through the show. Like, some of your not so subtle advert placement, you know. What's going on? My camera's tripping.
Yeah, my camera's
it's a glitch in the matrix.
Just a few.
But, we bullshitted everybody that I'd flown to New Zealand because it's daytime there. No.
Actually, you mentioned a book on gematria. Give me 2 minutes because I've got.
Okay.
I've got 2. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
I should go on. It says government equals 47 in gematria. The general election or general erection 2 placed on the 4th of July. It's a cock up, isn't it? Placed on the 4th of July, 2024, a date that can be written 47.
Yeah, superb. That's brilliant. I think Paul should actually write this book that everyone's after on gematria because he's definitely got it in the bag. Definitely nailed it there. 47 is massive as well. It's the 47th problem of Euclid, which is massive in Freemasonry. So brilliant stuff there, Paul.
And Deb's here. Hello, Deb. Good evening, folks.
Hello.
Remember to like and share this. Bless you. That's very kind. Share this video and subscribe if you haven't. It's free. Oh, bless you, Deb. And Deb, she doesn't know it yet, but she does actually. She's coming on Monday, the 25th of November. So Deb's back on the 25th of November. So Monday. So make a note in your diary and, cancel anything you got, holidays or anything like that. 25th of November. That's it. And now we got here. Hatchie says Disney, naughty boy, started NASA, yes, with Crowley, Hubbard, Parsons, and Von Braun's Rocket Man. That's right, yes.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's an awesome point. Do you know what? It's that whole scenario is massively so crazy and esoteric. I would encourage everybody to do some sort of internet search for that particular foundation of NASA, because it's just outrageous, the connections with those Crowley and the likes.
I think Blue Peter helped to make the lunar module, quite honestly, with his
And the moon buggy, let's not forget.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's pretty good. But you know, I went to the Science Museum when I studied architecture, and a group of us walked in there, convinced they landed on the moon. We saw the was it command module, the bit that comes back, and you could walk up some steps. They had the catch open. You could look inside, and they used to have in the museums then old boys sort of to make sure that you would ask questions for, and they'd point in the right direction. Commissionaires, I think they were called, and he was laughing his head off what we were saying. And when we walked out, all of us were convinced they never landed on the moon after seeing it. Our module. Now it says here, mind-blowing information on the show. Oh, bleed! No, he's not off with his mug again, is he? I wouldn't dream of doing
there.
I dream of doing such a thing, such a low-down thing as to do sneaky advertising.
I would never be so egotistical as to do such a thing, Chris.
No.
What are you suggesting?
What I mean, I wouldn't dream drinking one of your mugs on live on air.
Oh, it's one of mine. Well, I didn't know that.
Well,
hope you sent him a bill.
Commission.
A few checks.
Fox Bobs it'll be, print them off. There we go. Mind-blowing information on the show tonight. Certainly is. Disney is Adolf. I think you mean Adolf, don't you?
Adolf.
Adolf. Is it? No, I don't think so. I think he was dead by then, Adolf.
Yeah,
or
I'm
just
not sure
America.
it's one of those banned words.
No.
So,
Yes. Thanks, Paul. That would be great. That's Sue Seasider. I think that's regarding teaching numerology. Yes, I was right. Yes. There we go. And do you know how tall he was and where he lived? I don't. He was that tall, and he lived over there. Amazing. Paul says, regards to Obama, his birthday is the 4th of August, which in most years, apart from leap years, is day 216 of the year 666. Sorry, 6
wow.
times equals 216.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what, he's all over this numerology.
He certainly is.
He's got some brilliant facts and figures tonight.
He certainly is. Yes, he certainly had his spinach this morning, didn't he? And it says here, Sue Seasider, would you like me to email you some info? That's it. Oh, so Aunt Sally. Hello, Aunt Sally. The one thing I don't understand is, why do they use these numbers? What uses it to them? Are they spells or just information for other people in their clique? What is the point of them? That's an interesting question.
That's an interesting point. I mean, one thing to bear in mind is they're not necessarily using these numbers deliberately to signal an intention. I'm not saying that's never the case, but some of these numbers are just means and ways of decoding let's just say the matrix of the simulation is kind of embedded with a numerical code, values and symbols, which can be also understood in terms of cycles of time. And if we understand them, i.e. significant dates, such as some of the ones we've mentioned, we can decode and understand perhaps the intent that was thrown into these events. So as an example, March the 22nd, that can be kind of codified in the number 322. And if we look at events that have occurred on the 322, we can see things such as the Westminster Bridge attack, the Belgian bomb attack, the Iraq War shock and awe campaign, the Kuwait oil fires, the invasion of Libya. We can see things such as the COVID lockdown announced, but we can also see other less subtle things, such as there is a significant city in the country of Kazakhstan. It's known as Astana. Astana is an anagram of the word Satan. Now that changed its name temporarily on March the 22nd, 322. So we can see just through little codes in the matrix the intention behind some of the people and their plans to shape this world into their dark, nefarious order. And if we're onto it, if we understand, if we can decode this, then we can be at a better advantage to safeguard ourselves and to warn others. So, for example, this health emergency that was announced on March the 22nd, I tried to tell a lot of people at the time, oh, I'm a little bit suspicious of the you-know-what, especially when they've just announced it on a particular date, the satanic season of sacrifice. Now, obviously, most people think I was just a lunatic, so they've ignored the advice. So you can see how this works. If we follow the advice by understanding and decoding occult themes, then we can be one step ahead in the game. Hope that helps.
It's the same. It's the same as well. There, so you say some people think you're a lunatic, whereas those who know you know you're a lunatic, and just like me, it's okay to be a lunatic sometimes.
Well, actually, I think they do these codes because part of their belief is they've got to tell you what they're going to do to you.
Yeah.
So, answering, I think what it is that it relieves their conscience. It's a bit like, you know, you see these films where you got James Bond. Now, to me, that's like sewage from China, far-fetched. And you're Mr. Bond, we're going to put you down there where this secret ray will come along and destroy you. Why don't they just get a gun out and shoot the bastard? I mean, you know, in the film, you know, yeah, that's just been James Bond. It'd just be over in about a minute, wouldn't it? You know.
Can I give another example?
History, isn't he? I mean, if James Bond is the ideal spy, I'm not surprised that you know, the UK is suffering a bit because he always got caught. You know,
well, that's right.
They always sussed him out. I mean, he never even changed his code name.
And he worked for the Royal Mint, didn't he? He was a mint spy. Sorry. But yeah. But the thing is, but why is it always, my name's Bond, James Bond? Try that out. You know, my name's Von Essex, Eric Von Essex. I think. Well, you know, I mean, have you ever tried using your surname first and then saying your Christian name? You know, these things. Was it shaken, not stirred? Why don't people say "smarmy git"? You know, as you take, here it is. You know, and why does he always end up with pretty girls? Why doesn't he have some ugly old bag from around the corner?
Well, it's suggested in one of the latest ones that I think it was Skyfall. The villain's kind of suggesting that he's batting for the other team, and you said you'd be surprised what I've done for the country or something like that. Is it? Oh,
but do you remember that Howland Pace sketch where you see James Bond driving along in his suave car and he gets out of his car and a sort of like a professor type person says, "Mr. Bond, we've been expecting you," and the camera goes back and it's got VD walled.
It does make you wonder.
Now, I've jumped a lot I've looked through, and I hope you don't mind. I can't read everybody's out, so please forgive me. You mentioned Science Museum. There's a reason it's free, same as Natural History Museum. Is it still free? That's interesting. And
that's
another one. Paul said, "Remember the horses?" Sorry, Paul, I've missed a few out. Remember the horses running down Whitehall in 2024? I remember that. That took place on 24/4/2024, which was completely linked to Queen Lizzie. It took place 84 weeks and 6 days after QE's death. Great Trib equals 846.
Excellent. I remember that happening. That was a reenactment from a biblical passage as well. Obviously, I can't remember which one. I believe it was from the Book of Revelation. Something about horses with the blood off the bridle, which is exactly what was happening that day. Really interesting.
And we got here. And do you remember that body that was found up a tree in it was up near Chris actually, Chris Gardner, in a Royal Gardens, and the police sort of accept, as if, we often find a body up a tree, I mean, what's a corpse doing up a tree, for Christ's sake? If that happened in anywhere near out in our garden, I think we'd be arrested. But can you imagine? Oh, I wonder where I left it. Ollie that's right. Ollie Demigard has successfully stopped a lot of false flags by predicting them using numbers, and that's DJ Flipped. That's yes. So now this is another one. By the way, Aunt Sally says, "Thanks for answering my question, Steve." That's all right. And now it says, I think it's 10 foot bobs, isn't it? I think now you. Oh, by the way, between you and I'm doing another foot bob. I've done one for sausage fingers, and I'm hoping to put it on my website so you can download it and spend it. And I'm going to do one for Keir Starmer. So there we go. So that's coming along. Ukraine Russian war equals 224. The Ukraine-Russian war started on the 24th of February 2022, which is a date that can be written 224. And to me, the similarities between the First World War and the Ukrainian war are very similar, because the Ukrainians seem to be running out of young men, and they put the conscription age up to 65, I think. So they're going to have a load of old men on the front. And
that was another date that occurred, another war rather that occurred on a date in the Satellite calendar, and I believe it's called Saint Walpurgis Day, not Walpurgis Nacht, which is another date. That's the day before May the 1st. That was the day Hitler was allegedly suicided prior to being announced on the news on May the 1st, the same as Osama bin Laden, whose death was announced on May the 1st using the code word Geronimo. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because Geronimo's skull and bones are held in Lodge 322, the Skull and Bones, which is why I've named myself Bony Skull Steve.
That's interesting. And DJ Flip says their argument was, this is what they fed up, was he fell up a tree. That's the corpse they found in the tree.
Of course.
I think it was a woman, actually, they found. I think it was a young girl they found there, But, no sort of, it was just casually mentioned, they just found it's Sandringham today, they found a corpse up a tree, and it was Prince Philip said, that's where I left the bloody thing. I wonder where it was, Now, this is an interesting one. Paul, all world wars have a 68 date numerology. Yeah. So 24202022 equals 68. World War One, I won't read the full out, equals 68. That's correct. World War Two equals 68. Yes, and World War Two was 369 all the way through. You think about it. 3rd of the 9th, 1939, it started. So, although some people say it started in China when Japan invaded China. No. Well, depends on what way you look at it. I think it started on the 3rd of the 9th, 1939. There we are. For followers of the world of football, the World Cup final took place on 18th of 12th, 2022. That comes up, that whittles down to 18, 12, and 6, which gives 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. And what about that World Cup in 1966? When Germany beat Britain? No, sorry, the other way around. Britain in, because that was like World War III. That wasn't it? Really? I mean, that wasn't a football match. That was World War III being reenacted.
Paul's got some really good finds, by the way.
He bloody has, hasn't he?
We could have done with a few of those, to be honest. And the so like an index almost. Really good for a reference point.
Yes, if Paul would like to come on, I don't know. Would you like to come on with Paul, Steve, one day? I mean, that would be.
Oh yeah, I think Paul could. Paul doesn't need my help with any of this. He's right on the money.
I was going to say, I mean, if you want me to bow, if Paul was to come on today, he's got a lot of good material. I can bow out for the minute. Like I said, mate, it's been battered all day. I'm kind of just in recovery now. So if he wants to come on, he's got some good stuff there.
You've got half an hour to go, yes. So you can just say in chat.
While you're
hey, I'm loving the new hair, by the way, Nathan.
Well,
I've just noticed that.
I had the Viking cut years ago, but I might have accidentally got some cheap dye from Whitby, and it fell out. so I've not shaved the sides off again just yet. But yeah, it's all right.
I think.
Well, we was going to have our hair plaited, wasn't we, Steve? But I think our hairdresser's conning us, really, because I was actually, he said something about plaits, or was it a prat? I can't remember what he said.
Well, just do it like a tie, just get a clip on, just pinch a bit of skin. And
I actually miss long hair. I used to have it down to his shoulders. And I when it started falling out, but it was in my jeans. I mean, I changed from Levi's to Wranglers, so it didn't make any bleeding difference,
To be honest, mate, sometimes I just think, it's that long at the minute. I'm just thinking, just shave the bloody stuff again. But I don't know. We'll see how long I can put up with it.
I miss my long hair. I really do. I liked having long hair. But
in terms of books on numerology, just this is one of the ones that I've got. It's inverted. I don't know how to undo that. The Ultimate Guide to Numerology. Who wrote this?
No, it's not inverted on here.
Anya Gabrielle.
It's not. This is on your screen, but I think it's okay on here, mate. So you're all right.
It's a bit. So that's one. I've got another one, but I can't find it. But anyway, just another one in line with it, and it's gone. Hello, where's it? Hello, why is it doing that? That's weird.
Sacred geometry.
That's another one that's kind of linked into that. For anybody who really wants to dig into the the basics of reality and universe, I will always plug that one if it'll show up on the screen. The Kabbalion. Absolutely essential for any kind of occult studies. Another one is the Secret Doctrine of the Rosicrucians. No doubt that'll tick a few angry boxes in Truth Movement, but look, it is what it is, and it's very, very useful. In fact, it's very, very similar in theme to the previous one, and I found a wonderful alternative to that site of all-knowing wisdom that the mainstream likes to push. So it's not Wikipedia. I've got one called Wikipedia.
Oh, like it.
That's good.
So Wikipedia, but there's a few references in there, but for the numerology, I mean, you can get a lot of stuff online that decodes it for you, but my problem with that is, how do we know that it's legit? I mean, all these angel numbers and things like that, sometimes they get it bang on, and sometimes they tend to lead you down the garden path. So I'm more inclined to listen to, to read a book that's been written 50 years ago on the subject than to go and use a gematria calculator, which could easily have been tinkered with to throw us a bit off course.
You've got a good point. I mean, if anybody, my father's sister used to read a magazine called Horoscope. This was sort of before and during World War II. And she got a free book in this magazine called Horoscope, which she sent to my father when he was in Malta during the war. And that's the book that he lost. It's a fantastic book. So if anybody knows anything about that, I'll be most grateful. He spent, after the war, years looking for that book, but he never found it. So I say looking for it, he got it stolen, but he was looking for an equivalent book in old antiquarian bookshops and things like that. But by the way, did I tell you, I went into Miles, Dr. Fleetwood this week. I said, I've got genetic diarrhea. What? He said, genetic diarrhea? He said, what's that? I said, look, it's in my genes. Sorry.
No.
Oh, nice one. Hey, you get it all on this show, don't you? All the best gags, all the best books.
All the best books.
Oh, mate, you've got to show them the inside of this book that you're holding now. You showed me that the other week. I was absolutely amazed. This
is full of everything you need to know. I don't know if you can see any of this. This is loads of pictures in it as well. It's Harry Joseph. It's written by. Oh. There's 2 volumes. So I've got both of them as it happens. Don't tell my missus, but they're 50 quid each.
Wow.
It's got everything you need to know about the esoteric world. And wonderful colours. Part written by Santos Bonacci. I don't know if you guys would have heard of him.
I figured it might have been, actually.
Yeah. So I would recommend that. The Book of Wisdom by Harry Joseph, and of course Santos Bonacci as Joe. Sorry about that. Joe Dispenza. He's added stuff to it as well. Really good book. And again, Santos Bonacci. I recommend his work massively.
I'm just wondering, with the surname of the author being Joseph, do you think he's got any connection, like related to Peter Joseph? You know, like the Zeitgeist connection.
I don't know.
I'm just wondering, would it been along that theme?
Right. Don't know. But I've heard him. He's actually got videos on YouTube as well, and he sounds like a young guy to me. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very good book, though. I mean, obviously, caveat. It tries to tell you that the Earth's flat, but we can forgive that, I guess. Yeah. We'll forgive
that. Alvin, Kurt, sorry I haven't been reading too many of your messages out. Please don't take it personal. Or you might do, you never know. If you're going to play any songs tonight, Murder by Numbers by the Police would be perfect. Well, actually, we might be playing songs on my Rumble channel, but we can't do it on YouTube because they're a bit touchy about copyright, so... And
by the way, Chris, I've got to ask, and I think, is it Paul in chat that's got the radio show as well, or is it a different Paul?
I don't know.
Whose idea was Brother Bear? That was an interesting song selection from the other day, like.
Now this is it. Paul says, if there's a way, I don't know, I could come on your show. I'd love to do so, but I'm not very techie and my computer is ancient. In that case, we better do a little test run beforehand, because otherwise you might be suffering from sort of or is it the other Nathan? Yes, he suffers from yes. But we
could do it through his phone, maybe. I mean, if he's got a decent phone, that might work as well.
Or it might be easier. That's right. It might be easier on a Sunday on a Rumble because there's less bandwidth. Because it's radio. There's no bandwidth problems. There is generally with that's the problem. We'll sort something out, mate. If you could email me, I'd be most grateful, Paul. Or contact me in Telegram. That'd be okay. He
needs a website or something because he's got loads of material.
If you go onto FockhamHallRadio.com, there'll be my email address there. So it's FockhamHallRadio.com. Let's see if I've got any banners for it. Where are we? Or you can come on to my Telegram channel. I'm also on. Here it is. FockhamHallRadio.com, and there'll be an email address there. It's ericvonessex@FockhamHallRadio.com. So you can get through to me there, and that'll be. And also, I'm on Facebook as well as Eric Von Essex. So, well, actually, I'm Peter Croft on Facebook, but I've got. Sorry, muddled that up. I'm Peter Croft on Facebook, and that was a pseudonym I used for when I used to do some writing. But there's Fockham Hall Radio on Facebook as well. So there we go. So you can contact me there and we'll work something out. That'd be nice, So by all means, yes, you'll be most welcome on. And but I think we'll be. How long we got to go? We got about 20 minutes to go tonight. Could chance it. I'd need some sort of contract number where I could actually send the studio link to you, Paul. So we could give it a chance tonight. If you come out also, well, that's it, But you just follow the instructions on the studio link. That's all you do. So if you've got some contact details, I might be able to pop that through to you. Now, Paul said, we had a bus crash in London this year where a yellow double-decker bus crashed into some shops. Its fleet number was LT255, Satan 255 in reverse satanic. A bus in Cardiff also crashed. Its number 255.
Wow, he's bang on the money with some of this stuff. I've just noticed another date there with Jojo Gizmo. I don't know if I'm well ahead in your chat, but she's saying Joe Cox. She was killed on the 16th of June, 2016. Now that's interesting in itself because that equates to 616. That you can equate that as 616, which is the original biblical number of the beast.
I'm just trying to find that.
It's down a little way, but
what's your thoughts on that, Steve? Because I mean, I've looked at it as well, and it can be translated as 616 because the way it's written. But 666 to me makes more sense. But again, it only makes more sense to me on account of it being carbon based because carbon is the number for life breathing organisms. Mammals, animals, and so 666.
I only use it essentially because people have mentioned it was the original biblical association. But the curious thing is, if you have a look at that date in history, there are some significant kind of death and destruction things going on that particular date as well. So it's interesting.
No, this is interesting. Ayrton Senna, remember him? Yes, died on the 1st of the 5th, 1994, which is day 121 of the year. Blood sacrifice equals 121. He died on the San Marino racetrack. San Marino equals 41. Skull and Bones equals 41.
Yeah, awesome.
And Paul went on to say he crashed at 131 miles per hour. Human sacrifice ritual equals 131. Blood sacrifice ritual equals 131. Bloody hell, that's a bit fast. Was he on the M25? Was he? I don't know. No, I think you can get back up to 1.31 miles per hour on there. Yeah, that's interesting. That's fascinating. Now, Alvon Kurt said, this is fascinating. Can this info be used practically? Yes, it can. I think we've answered that. And Paul said, can I share a link to a website? Certainly you can. You can do. Yeah, the only rule I have is there isn't any rules. So there we go. So I think that's the best way of going. Everybody's a nice person in chat, so why not?
Just to interject there, I think we're on YouTube tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, got to be a bit careful.
I think YouTube's got a problem with links. I think it just bloody hell, instantly removed. I mean, try it by all means, but I think YouTube's a bit iffy about link sharing.
I know if you put it in chat, they're a bit iffy. I mean, this is what pisses me off. Excuse my language of YouTube. They've got so many rules and regulations. It's stifling. It really is. I mean. I can understand if someone's being stalked or something like that. Yes, they can't. That is not good. But just mentioning things. I think that I can just imagine what their experts are doing or so-called experts. Now it says here also at the Manchester. What's it? One of the alleged victims suffered 22 shrapnel wounds.
Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, I've not seen that, but this is brilliant. All of these things, these are the kind of things that get embedded into ritual behaviors. All of these numbers. So some of them are complete bogus. They just make them up. They just make up a story to throw in a number. And the health emergency was absolutely riddled with made-up stories to fabricate some of these numbers to throw them into rituals.
Well,
and no doubt that's another one.
Did you see that bloke looking for his daughter or something? And the acting was so bad. I mean, quite honestly, I think Lawrence, it's like, well, false tears. no.
Oh dear.
But no, I feel sorry for Richard D. Hall, because it was about the first court case where you're not allowed to read any evidence out. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
And
hats off to Richard. I mean, it's sad in a way, because the goons in clown world, there's just no quarter with them. There's no educating these morons, these lunatics.
The only thing I am saying I think their days are numbered. And when they have their day in court, boy, aren't we going to have some fun? Because quite honestly, I mean, poor old Richard. I mean, what is it? It's £300,000 he's got to find. They're bankrupting him.
Yeah,
absolutely horrendous.
It's an absolute disgrace.
They're hanging him out to dry because he's a journalist and he was doing what a journalist should do. He didn't harass anybody. And he said when he went on the doorstep, somebody said, "Please go away." He would go away. He wouldn't, never harass anybody.
Yeah. And, well, just to back up Richard a little bit, I obviously used to be a soldier, so I know what a bomb blast looks like. I've seen them in real life. I know what bomb victims look like in real life. Yet Manchester looked like the biggest. I'm probably not allowed to say this. I'm on YouTube. I kind of agree with Richard. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, something I saw was. Sorry.
No, it seems to me that, I mean, look, I'm not a fan of Alex Jones, but they're doing the same to him. Apparently, they're doing the same to Luke of We Are Change. It's kind of, they're picking loud voices that have been at this for quite some time, and they're making examples of people, which in line with what you said there about you think that the tide is turning. I'm not so sure I agree with that, but I would say that they're only starting to censor and shut down protests because the information's getting out there. And it's obviously making an impact, because if it wasn't, they would just leave these people alone. They would just, it's like the idea of the madman, whilst people think you're mad, that nobody's listening to you. And I don't think that, I think there's a definite swing in terms of the general populace. They are starting to ask questions. They are looking into all this stuff now. And, clearly they're starting to see that things are not right. So at what point does 100th Monkey kick in and the tide comes in? Because if the tide does come in, it's going to be a tsunami. It's not going to be a, I mean, if you look at the principle of rhythm from Hermeticism, the swing to the left is equal to the swing to the right. Okay. So in other words, it's got to come back round at some point. Now, we've gone so corrupt in society, so absolutely evil and fraudulent, greedy, immoral, debased. We've gone so far to that degree now. It's going to hit the extreme and it's going to come crashing back. So again, I'm not sure that I'm not an optimist in this regard. I mean, people call me negative. That's fine. I'm not an optimist, but I do know that they're getting itchy. I think would be a fair statement. They're getting very itchy, and they're trying to now silence people who are making a massive impact, and that tells me that they're afraid of the outcome. Now, let's potentially say that they get their technocratic agenda in place quickly. Yeah, they might be able to stem that tide. If they don't, potentially this could see the end of the current system of control, let's say. I think there you go.
Oh, hang on, he's just sent an email to me.
Yeah, no problem.
Just one moment. I'll just look this up on my phone. This is Paul. Let's have a quick look. But no, you're right. I think that I actually think their days are numbered. They've got to be.
I mean, I hope so. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't want that to be the case. Of course I do. I hate this. What we're dealing with now. It's nightmare. In fact, it's so nightmarish. I wonder if this place is hell. I mean, genuinely. I mean, somebody asked in the chat earlier if there's any. Sorry, my brain's knackered from the headache today. It's not. I can't get the words out properly. But what's the point to all this numerology? Is it just like an inside code, or is it linked to reality? Is it a reality code? I would say it's it's linked to this reality, really, in some way. I can't explain it. I mean, the number 33 for me, I mean, Steve, I think you've seen this as well. It's everywhere at all times. I can stop a video randomly. 33. When I logged onto the show, when you just started coming on, there was 33 viewers. I looked at my phone, 33, and I'm just thinking, you can't make it up, right? And people say, are you looking for it? I never look for it. It's just there, right? And so for others, it's other numbers, but for me, it's 33. I could understand if it was to do with frequency illusion, and you know that I was, oh, that's a good number, I'm going looking for it. No, this number follows me around somewhat chronic, and you know, I don't tend to question it now; it just happens. But how the idea of how it happens and why it happens is the bit that's got to lead you down the path of, well, you know, what is this reality? Because clearly numerology is involved, gematria is involved. There is a numerical code to this, whatever it is,
and nature.
But
and they've tapped into it.
So say that again, mate.
And they've tapped into it. They know how to use it.
Yeah. And if they have, then really, if we are to figure them out and use their own rhetoric against them, we've got to learn this stuff just as much as anybody else. We've got to figure out how it works.
I agree with you. And I'll tell you one that gets me is 11:11. You look at a clock, 11:11. How many times have you looked at a digital clock and it's 11:11? I mean,
because 11:11 is 22.
So it is.
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing it. It's the master builder number.
And 9/11.
Would you see a lot of master numbers? I mean, there's 11, 11, 22, and 33 are the most revered numbers, especially within Freemasonry. These are the highest tier of numbers ritualistically. I mean, we know that they go up to 77 and 88, which is 77 is supposed to be the highest number of man's evolution, i.e. the enlightened man on the plane of existence. And then we've got 88, which is equated to God's number. But don't forget that in line with polarity, there's a dual aspect to all these numbers. They have both a good side and a dark side. This is why we can't just dismiss it as good or evil. You've got to read it properly. A 33 can be good, but it can also have negative connotations. The same with any other number. It's got a dual aspect, which is why the idea of splitting, to me, it's like, oh, well, it's all that. No, it's not. It's not all one or all the other. We've got to look at it objectively and see if we can figure it out objectively, because that's where you're going to find the truth.
And also 77 Brigade.
Yeah, nice point.
Which I actually do not believe. I do not believe for one moment it's the 77 Brigade that's spying on us. I think that's a false herring, a red herring rather. Sorry, I really.
There's not that many people in that agency, so they can't spy on you at all.
Well, precisely, and not only that. Do you tell your enemy what you're doing? No, you don't. You throw out red herrings. That's the last thing you do is tell your enemy, "Oh, I've got an agency that's going to spy on you." No, you don't. You're not going to do that, are they?
Unless, I tend to think that they are legit. I think there is a 77th Brigade.
Oh, there is, but it's not.
In fact, I've been told that there definitely is a 77th Brigade. So, but again, what the exact purpose is behind them, what their exact role is, I can guess at it, but I think we've all come into contact with that kind of, let's say, internet troll or information gatekeeper or whatever, you know.
We have. I mean, was it Area 51? I don't think there's much going on there. It's going on. Something's going on, but not Area 51. Now there's a 77 Brigade. Yeah, it's probably some old dear who's a cleaner and a spotty teenager on a computer. But the real 77 Brigade is somewhere else doing something completely different. I think that's the thing. Because again, you tell your enemy what you want to tell it to manipulate it. It's like in a war, you tell your enemy it's a very good idea to surrender. I mean, it's an excellent idea to surrender. I mean, that's the psychological side of war. Please surrender. We're very nice people, you know, be treated well. And
you mentioned psyops earlier. I mean, the whole idea of a psyop is to do exactly that, which is to stand down an enemy using primarily peaceful means, but using things like propaganda and psychological warfare, as opposed to, you know, going in all guns blazing. Because if you can get under the enemy's skin and control them from the inside out, then you don't need to you know, ramp up the heat, kind of thing.
Well, that's right. We look at Apocalypse Now, the film, when he sticks the tape recorder on, or the recording on. It's playing Ride of the Valkyries by Wagner. And he said, "Oh, it scares the living shit out of the geeks or whatever." And it does, yeah. And apparently they actually did that. They played Ride of the Valkyries really loud when they went into battle. And look what happens with the Scottish Highland Division. They actually had the Germans called them, was it Fiery Women from Hell? They had blokes in kilts playing the bagpipes going in on an invasion. And did you know the Germans didn't shoot the person because they thought they were insane? That's true. It's actually true. And you think, who the bleed now will come in wearing blowing bagpipes on an invasion? And so Germans are, we did not shoot him because we thought he was a little bit inside.
That's quite a benevolent act to carry out that.
Well, I think it's a gentleman's war. What's this?
Somebody in chat mentioned a book. I thought I'd just, rather than say what it is, I thought I'll just show what it is.
Ooh.
I forget whose question it was. I think it was Stephen Truthseeker. He's asking about the book on Washington, D.C., the street plan. So that's it. It's David Overson, The Secret Architecture of Our Nation's Capital. And if anyone does a little rudimentary research, they'll see that the White House, the place where Mr. Trump sits in office, is sitting right at the bottom of a gigantic inverted pentagram. So next time you're flying the flags for Mr. Trump, all the Trumpeteers out there, he's still sitting in the seat of power, which is right below the biggest inverted pentagram in the world, apart from the one in Kazakhstan.
Just also, you mentioned Astana earlier. You know, that's as esoteric as it goes as well, because it goes to Asta, which is star.
Yeah.
And Astana, I think it means from the stars or something like that. It's it's everywhere, isn't it? The encoding, the occult references. I mean, it's not evil, but the point that I like to labour is, look, if they're using it against you, then don't you think it's a smart thing to do to figure it out for yourself? And in that way, it's less effective against you, and then perhaps you can start using it in your defence as well.
Exactly.
So
that's right. And we're still on Radio Soapbox, so I'll remember to sign them off this week, which I forgot to do, and I'll put them on this week, which I forgot to do the Sunday before last. Slackers, And now Keir Starmer, this is Paul. Keir Starmer, sorry to swear. Name, by the way, has values in gematria of 137, 56, 160, 79. In the main for cipher, mind control equals 137, 56, 160, 61, which matches Starmer's name in 3 out of 4.
This is great stuff.
Yes. This is interesting. Police equals 33, teacher equals 33.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's put some great stuff further down about Sarah Everard.
Sarah Everard.
Just to interrupt again, sorry guys. Can we go back to the previous comment?
Certainly, if I can find it. Where is it? Oh, here. This one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a ton of biblical references in there. I mean, Jesus was known as Rabbi, which means teacher. So his, people say he was a carpenter, etc. But he was most notably a teacher. That's, he's supposed to have been a teacher of truth, a teacher of the law, which is why, the number 33 is master teacher. There's master builder 22. I can't remember what the 11 is. What's the master number for 11? I
don't know.
But it's interesting because even if you go like 11 plus 22, you've got 33. I mean, the number of ways that you can get 33s and 22s and 11s, they just fit. It's mysterious in and of itself, just looking at that.
But like the date Kennedy was shot, 22nd of November, 33.
11.
Just an example.
No, 63, I think it was.
No, the date and the month, 22nd of November.
Which again, it's telling. I mean, you know, are they tapping into a code or are they making one up? Personally, I think they're tapping into one. If anyone wants to do an intellectual exercise, I've got one for you, and I don't know of anybody else that's picked up on this. Clocks. And I've done this. I've filled notepads full of stuff that you can unravel in your mind using a clock. Just draw a clock, split it down the middle, split it again into the quarters, right? And then see what happens with your mind. Link that into exactly this, right? Link it into numbers, link it into circles. Put 369, 369, all the way around. It's 369. Every quarter is 3 to 6 to 9, and it goes to 12. Or 1 and 2 is 3, so it cycles again, but in a fractal. So that then becomes 3, 6, 9. 12 becomes 3, 6. You just get a clock and draw. For anyone who's got a bit of spare time. I mean, I've had a ton in the last couple of years, but it's the things that you'll learn from that, and then introduce playing cards into that as well. Overlay the playing cards over a clock. And just play about with it using time and seasons, and it'll unlock a ton of stuff that you just never. It's there in plain sight, but you never really click until you start playing about with it and just draw. It's fun. It can be fun.
Also, finding your ideal partner. Now the thing is, I'm very skilled at being in the wrong place at the right time or the right place at the wrong time, but never the two together. The right place at the right time. And I tried to many years ago. Use numerology to somehow to do his massive calculations. A complete balls up. It didn't work.
Well, we need to do a revert dating agency, mate, because I think we'd actually have more luck if we tried our very best not to get fixed up. The law of inverse action would maybe go in our favour in this. Don't forget to drill and have a bit of snot as well.
They'll be knocking at your door with that new haircut you've got there, Nathan. I think the chicks will love that.
The Viking cut was better, mate, and it still didn't work. I've given up on that one, mate.
There's so
Can
much.
I just get Eric to put on? It was about the Sarah Everhard that Paul's put on.
I'll look for it. What time was it? Because I can find it.
It was 12 minutes past 9.
Right. I'm getting there. It's a bit of a way back. Here we go. That's hang on. 9, 12. Oh, I'll be there in a minute. Right. Is this the one?
Yeah. I just noticed that in the chat. That's another great find. Sarah Everhard, that was the girl who was killed a few years back. I forget what year, not that long back. But was it not by a police officer? But
that was it.
Yeah.
Because Richard D. Hall looked into that one, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing that in the news thing. What? 33? She was 33-year-old on the 3rd of March. The devil is in the detail. That's what I'd say.
What age did Jesus die? Was he 33?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'll unmute the mic. Yeah, 33, which was where I was going. The biblical references, especially in the book of Revelation, my God, the numerology in there is outstanding.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could do an entire show on that where I could go through the biblical numerology. 12s. 12s. Look at the number of 12s in biblical the allegories there. And again, it's all repeats. 12 brothers.
We mentioned 40 earlier, Nathan, I think before you came on, but that features a lot as well.
40. Do you know what? 7 as well. 7's in the Bible. But again, 7 goes into 40.
And also 10, where it comes into Radio Soapbox, because I forgot to actually sign off Radio Soapbox and say good night, folks, on Radio Soapbox. Do it everybody. So I was going to say, come over to YouTube. We're carrying on YouTube, but and also Radio Windy Miller or Radio Wind Miller, Miller Wind or whatever. But this show, I mean, I would say this is the fastest 2 hours I think we've ever had on a show. I mean, it's just flown by. We're coming up to a sort of like the end thing. We've got to do another show on this. We've got to. We've got to do several shows on this. And coming up, I've got me chart here. Look how scribble. Oh, hang on, I lost it. It's the
You've got the magically disappearing camera, just like mine.
There we go. Yeah. Anyway, you'll have to trust me. I've got scribbles all over it. Next Sunday, because we flipped the shows, because Hell O was going to be on this Sunday. It wasn't. It was on last Sunday, and there's a pending show. So there's a spare slot next Sunday on Rumble. I think we might be able to have a little chat about this when we go off air. Deb's coming back on the 25th, Monday the 25th. And then some bloke called Survival Steve is on Sunday the 1st of December. Don't know who the
That'll be amazing.
That will be amazing. There's Nathan Allenby, but he's pending at the moment, so he might not be able to make it on the 2nd of December, Monday the 2nd. Might do a recorded show for him. And Dawn Lester's coming back on Sunday the 8th of December. And show 322 on Rumble, another bloke called Survival Steve. So there we go.
Yeah.
Are you well
is that the actual date as well?
322. This is number of shows. Where's the bloody? I know sometime in December, I think. And of course, we got the Christmas special coming up.
Yeah.
Which
no, Steve, we've got to. Your stuff on Christmas, I think, would play into this fantastically.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Christmas. If you want to know how fake the world is, you just have to decode Christmas. Santa Claus in Gematria 666. Ho ho ho. You can decode the term ho 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 into 666. Seriously, it's when you realize Christmas is just everything about the devil, you'll be like, sorry kids, I might spoil it for you. Don't let your kids watch the Christmas special.
By the way,
Paul, I'll tell you what, mate. I think I mentioned to Chris a week ago. I looked into the traditions and the history behind Halloween and Christmas. Well, I did Halloween first because it was on Halloween night. I thought, you know what? I don't mind looking into a little bit of something spooky. See if I can learn something new about it. And I did that, and I thought, yeah, well, I knew a lot of that, but it was good and it was interesting. Anyway, I thought I'll have a look at the Christmas one. I thought, holy crap, if people think Halloween is evil or dark and twisted, my God, wait till you get a load of Christmas because it's Halloween. Nothing
seriously,
big time. Oh,
I mean, the word itself, Christmas, means the death of Christ. I mean, it celebrates the birth of Christ, but it means the death of Christ. I mean, that's inversion in your face, and nobody even knows it.
And it's supposed to be in September.
Because Easter's the birth, but it's the death. So we start the New Year and Easter, the Passover, but that's when he was crucified. But then you've got the birth of Christmas, which again is disputed because there's several birthdays associated with that, and it's the death of the sun, which is linked to the Son of God and the solar astrotheological aspect of it, and yet that's when the sun dies, but we celebrate the birth. And you're right, it's the ultimate inversion. And don't forget as well, you've got the clockwork elves, you've got the Phrygian cap, you've got the you've got Krampus, which goes all the way back. You've got Sinterklaas, which is the Dutch and German version. We can really go into this. I mean, it's a fantastic.
Jojo Gizmo's nailed it to a T there. Santa is an anagram of Satan. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Right.
And the rest of it is history. And then you realize the whole world is a lie.
Yeah.
And what can I say? Doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy yourself and, laugh. Absolutely. Once you know it, it's like you have a little smile to yourself and you think, hey, you nearly fooled me. But I've figured this all out. It's just a big crock designed to test your soul. What can I say?
I could just imagine all these secret agencies around the world, 77 Brigade or whatever, the Spotty Teenager, and all the other places, all listening is, I better send this to my commander in chief.
Yeah.
I think they.
Well, don't forget the Nimrod. You mentioned Nimrod earlier. Nimrod's connections to Christmas. You've got
perfect. The evergreen tree for a kickoff.
Exactly that. Oh God, mate, we've got to go on.
We need to do a Christmas special, don't we?
We've got to have a Christmas special, and we'll have to have a chat about this. And because, quite honestly, I'm sort of booked up into December now. So, hang on a minute. We've got the bowler hat farmer coming on as well. He's coming on soon. So, because we're talking about food distribution and things like that, and eating your local MP, which I think is a very good idea. Turning the cannibal. No, but I'm joking. I'm joking.
I tell you.
I might get some miserable son of a police officer knocking on the door. You're talking about cannibalism. I don't see it's your house, please, to see if you, because our local MP has gone missing. Did you ever see the film Femrock? It's made in 1968, and you can see bits of it on YouTube. And I saw it when they show it to all students, and there's a scene in it. There's no dialogue at all. It's all grunts, and you see this gendarme. It's French, looking in the mirror, and he's really posing. He really loves himself. And there's this fella that's turned into cannibalism. Now it sounds a serious film. It's a weird film, and this gendarme walks out. He's got his truncheon and everything, and suddenly you hear this boonk, and you see two legs being dragged under a car. It is the most nuttiest bloody film I think I've ever seen in my life. And it's one of these films that you think, what the bleeding hell is this about? But you keep watching it because you just wonder if you're going to understand it. So
it sounds like one that needs to go on the list. I think that one.
Yes. And they showed it to people that are studying architecture. Weird, isn't it? You know,
the secret compartments under the floor. We're on about wall hidden rooms and things that.
That's right. And we got Alvon Kurt says, "How does Santa Claus add up to 666?"
You've got to run it through a gematria calculator, and it'll come up with that. I think it's in standard English gematria, if memory serves me well. But speaking of which, I'm going to have to take my hats off to Paul, because he's mentioned the Manchester bombing took place on a date leaving 223 days in the year, i.e. 322. Obviously, the link's there to Skull and Bones. I think that Paul's come up with some corkers today.
That's some great ones. And I'll take my wig off to Paul as well. My see-through wig. Here we go. Hang on. That's it.
Yeah. Just another one I've noticed there. Noel, another word for Christmas. Yeah. So if you break the wording down, again, it's not numerological, but if you break down the word in that, so L is the word for judge, Lord, or God in the ancient traditions. So if you know L, what it's saying is no God, right? So for Christmas there is no God, which links in with the Roman tradition of Saturnalia or Saturnalia, however you prefer to say that, which was basically a 12-day period where there was no laws. It was kind of it was a season of I guess debauchery linked in with the god Pan and the Bacchus, which is the Greek equivalent. And even that could have, again, it's not all negative. I'm not saying it's all negative. Like Steve said, if you enjoy Christmas, for God's sake, enjoy Christmas. Yeah. I'm going to. Just because there's bad things associated with it doesn't mean you can't have good associated with it. Let's balance out the equation. Let's make it, there's balance there as well. But that's just something that, as you mentioned there, I don't know what triggered it, but no L, no God. And again, for Christmas, no God. And
that's a great, I never knew that, but that's what a great understanding there.
Yeah. It's crackers.
Why didn't people in the Bible have names like Fred or Bert or Harry or sort of? Wasn't there Tracy in the Bible? And he said unto Tracy, "Come forth, Darren."
Wasn't there an Eric?
Eric?
You've been a very naughty boy.
Well, there's always my old favourite. There's Jezebel in there, and it's a good name that we need to bring back into common usage.
Yeah, we pop round her house and see how she's getting on.
Well, did you know that there's a lot of Lizzies born in the 1920s. And the reason it was a popular name in America is because they were conceived in the back of a Model T Ford, which was called a Tin Lizzie. Seriously.
Oh, wow.
What should we call him? Oh, call her rather. Oh, let's call her Lizzie after where we had that marvelous night, you know.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a true story. That's actually true, you know.
Nothing to do with reptiles or no iguanas.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. This has been a real fantastic show. It really has.
By the way, just before you end the show, I'm going to say again, because you had me chuckling when I was listening in, because I was thinking, you know, I'm hoping my head's going to clear up for that point. And I thought, no, I'm going to have to come in, because you two were hilarious earlier. Some of the stuff you were coming out with was fantastic. So yeah, it was really great viewing.
So I don't know if you have to say anything to listeners before we sign off, but obviously keep on air when we signed off. And it's not like Rumble where it keeps on air and you can't come off. You sort of panic, you're perspiring, and you see in the chat saying, "You're still on air." Yeah, I've noticed that. What's happening?
Actually, I've got something to say, because the chat, I've read through every piece of chat and it's been excellent. Some great comments, I've got to say. And I mean, hats off again to Paul. I think he's put some brilliant connections down there. So well done, mate.
And if you're watching this on BitChute, it was done 2 days ago or yesterday. Oh, that's something that YouTube stopped now. It used to automatically load to BitChute. It doesn't do it anymore. You have to do it manually. And you have to wait, was it 24 or 48 hours? 24 hours. Correction. I'll get there in a minute. 12 hours before you can download it. Yeah, so typical. You know. Anyway, thank you very much. And Nathan, got anything to say? You know, like sort of. You know,
well, yeah. Actually, I know this is going to sound like a shameless plug, so I'm going to do it anyway. So, my book, Fake Awake, with Steve James here as my co-author. Listen, if you're interested in this gematria subject and the numerology and things like that, to give Steve a shout out, he's got a chapter in the book called Chapter 666, and it covers pretty much what he's discussed tonight, and he's done it in a massive amount of detail, and he's done it very, very well. He's even used again, time references, sacred days, and sacred calendrical cycles, and it's in there. So it's if for anybody who was interested and they're looking for a book on numerology. I will shamelessly plug my own book. Steve James here, who has kindly filled that slot for the numerology. So there you go.
You're welcome.
There you go. We've forgotten to plug it through the show, haven't we? I mean, it slipped our memory, isn't that sad? But if you spell something, it's dogs. No, I think it's bullshit actually. But by the way. Paul has kindly sent me an email. Sorry I gave you a short answer, but I am live on here, so I couldn't sort of send you a long answer. I'll contact you, not this evening because I'm too knackered, or tonight rather. But I'll get back to you, okay, Paul? Thanks for sending your email. I've got it, so I'll get back to you on that. And thank you, everybody in chat, and everybody. I'm sorry I can't read out all your questions. I really am sorry about that. And on your comments, sorry, I shouldn't say questions. It's been a fantastic show, one of the best, and it couldn't be the best show without you two gentlemen and everybody in chat. So thank you, everybody in chat. And as I say every week, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.